began asymptomatic testing.
Several student organizations at FGCU
and we're going to play Guess the Song.
Hello, welcome to Hanging with the Executives here at the Bauer School of Music.
And you're watching ENTV.
What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Hard Hitters. I am your host, Ian Lynch, and today I'm joined with
Tyler Watkins
and Nick Asselin.
So we have a busy week, so let's get started. First game we're recapping, we have the Lions versus the Vikings. What are your thoughts, Nick?
First off, if you weren't a fan at 0-10-1, don't claim to be one at 1-10-1. The Lions have got their first win of the season. It was honestly a really rough game for both teams. The Lions got off to a quick 20-6 lead, and the Vikings quickly closed that up and took the lead. And then Jared Goff to St. Brown with the touchdown as time expired for the win. It's going to be tough for the Vikings down the road. You know, if they just lost to the winless Vikings without Dalvin Cook, and then now they lost Adam Thielen, it's going to be tough to see where they go from this, and I don't think the Lions are going any further up after this one either.
Yeah, the thing with this game that was interesting is both of these teams historically this season have gone off to quick starts in their games, and then they both fall apart throughout the game. So it was just watching it, it was like, who's going to bend and break first? So, Tyler, what did you think about the game?
I think that on the Vikings side, Mike Zimmer's seat is getting really hot right now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see him lasting after this season, to be honest. But on the other side, pop the champagne and get the parade floats going, because Lions, you won a game. Congratulations. And I mean, what a win for them. You see the energy that the locker room had even after, going 0-10-1, now 1-10-1. And you just see them rally around Dan Campbell in the locker room, and just, it's just a beautiful sight to see even though that it's not successful, the chemistry that he's building in that culture, and the culture that seemed like it was down after Dan Patricia started to be coaching. You see the locker room try to turn sides, but no, it seems like the culture is really strong in Detroit despite the lack of success.
Well, moving on to this week. First up, we have Steelers versus the Vikings. The Vikings just lost to the Lions, so they're looking to bounce back. Both teams are atrocious when it comes to running defense. What do you guys think? Who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think the Vikings, just that loss this past week, their hope in Mike Zimmer is just dwindling down and down. They just lost Adam Thielen to an injury. They're still without Dalvin Cook. I don't see them beating the Steelers, and I think the Steelers might be rallying around behind Ben Roethlisberger after the news came out about him potentially retiring after this season.
Yeah, you see the atmosphere. I'm going with the Steelers as well. After that game against the Ravens, that big win that they had, you see kind of the city rallying around Ben, knowing that this is probably his last ride, as he said before, probably. So, I mean, and the Vikings, like you said, Thielen, he's out, Cook is out, and just, that loss to the Vikings may have just broke the Vikings for the rest of the season. So.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on, we have the Ravens versus the Browns. I have the Browns this week. They have been preparing for this game since November 22nd. They had a Week 12 loss and then the bye week to now get ready for the Ravens again. I think they're going to come up on top this time.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Lamar has not looked great over the past few weeks. He had the 4-interception game against the Browns that they somehow won. And then the Steelers game, it just looked like Steelers defense had him locked up, and he couldn't even run anywhere. You just see him taking sack after sack. T.J. Watt was all over him on that last play as well that lost him the game. But, for the Browns, I have them coming out of this one.
Moving on, we have the Jags versus the Titans. The Titans are coming off a big loss to the Pats, where they had several turnovers, penalties. I have the Titans because the Jags have only 2 wins, and it came against the Bills and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But 2 wins, still better than teams that haven't won or only have a few wins. So I do have the Titans getting back on track, defeating the Jags this week.
I agree. I got the Titans too. The Jags, they got decimated by the Rams this past week. The Titans are coming off their bye. Of course, they did have that loss against the Patriots, but I think I think they'll pull through this week, especially playing at home, and I don't see the Jags pulling it off.
So next up, we have the Chiefs versus the Raiders. The Chiefs are coming off a dominant win. Coming off a dominant win. The Raiders are coming off a close heartbreaker to Washington where they lost by 2. I have the Chiefs. How about you guys?
I'm going to roll with the Chiefs, too. They've been playing great football lately after everyone is like, oh, are the Chiefs broken? I don't think they are. They've been playing great. They're playing the Raiders, who they beat easily when they played them a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas. This week, it's in Kansas City. I don't think it'll be any different. I got Kansas City.
Moving on, we have the Saints versus the Jets. I have the Saints. I mean, they have been struggling this year. They lost Winston early on. There's been multiple quarterback situations going on with them. But last week, they had 4 interceptions along with a ton of penalties, which you're not going to win if you have 4 interceptions. But I highly doubt they get to 4 against the Jets.
Yeah.
So I have the Saints.
Yeah, I have the Saints in this one, but like you said last week with the 4 interceptions, I think that answers the question of why Taysom Hill, even though that Sean Payton has been over the course of the past couple of years saying, oh yeah, he's our guy for the future. He could be our guy for the future. And now we see why he's been holding back, because games like that against the Cowboys, because, I mean, sure, he can get it done with his legs, but with his arm, it was just horrific throwing the ball wise. And I mean, even though that they did come off of that tough loss, I got them going up against the Jets. I got them in the win.
All right, next up, we have the Cowboys versus Washington. Who do you have this week, Tyler?
I got the Cowboys coming out in this one. They did have that great Thursday night win against the Saints this past week, and I think that they will come out on top of this one, even though that Washington did get that win in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm going to differ, and I'm going to go with Washington here. You know, they're on a good winning streak right now, and I think they're looking to challenge the Cowboys for that division. If they can get this win here and maybe get a couple more wins down the stretch, they could be right in there with the Cowboys to win the NFC East. They've been playing great lately. The team's getting behind Taylor Heineke. I think Washington will take this one, especially since they're playing at home.
I'm going to have to agree with Tyler on this one. Granted, they have been on a 4-game winning streak, Washington. They were 4-0 in the month of November, which not that many teams can say.
Yeah.
But all-time, Dak Prescott is 7-1 against Washington. And on top of that, Washington has been struggling with the passing game. They've given up 263.9 yards per game through the air, and I feel like against a quarterback like Dak Prescott, it's going to be a field day for him.
Yeah, especially since they don't have much of a running game. So
Yeah.
For sure. So I have the Cowboys this week. Up next, we have the Falcons versus the Panthers. Who do you got, Nick?
I'm going to go with the Falcons. The Panthers, you know, they got Cam Newton. The city of Charlotte was going crazy that he was back, but he's just struggled the past couple weeks. I don't see the Panthers taking this one.
Up next, we have the Seahawks versus the Texans. I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks. Houston, we have a problem, and that is you are already out of playoff contention.
Yeah.
Unlike the Lions.
Yes.
After that big win, they are still in contention. So, yeah, I got the Seahawks this week. The Texans haven't looked great. Thoughts?
I mean, both teams haven't looked great, but I mean, it's just who's worse, Houston or Seattle. And I'm going with Seattle for the win on this one, coming off that win against the 49ers. So,
next up, we have the Lions versus the Broncos. I have the Broncos. I think for the Lions, I think they enjoyed this week of winning. It's going to be short-lived, but I have the Broncos coming up, and they just have to not be their own worst enemy this week. Last week, they had 3 turnovers. They were all interceptions, and penalties were over 5, which 5 is a lot, but the fact that they were over is not a good sign. So they need to not have self-inflicted wounds this week. Last but not least, we have the Rams versus the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals. So Kyle Murray is back.
yes.
All time, Stafford is 9-70 against teams with a winning record. So based off the numbers and Kyle Murray being back, I have the Cardinals. Thoughts?
I think the Rams will take this one. We saw the Packers do it. I think the Rams can do it. The Cardinals are looking vulnerable.
Interesting. Well, that concludes our picks for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.